All right, so today's first assignment is called Intro to Solving Equations. So this is kind of a thinker, so bear with me. So number 1A, can you figure out what the value x is that makes the equation equal on both sides? So we have x plus 8 equals 10. So hopefully off the top of your head, and if not, that's okay, but the answer would be 2, right? 2 plus 8 equals 10. Now, when we solve equations, most of the times we won't be able to figure this out right away like how we did here. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what we can use with the numbers we're given to get the right answer, right? So we got to figure out the math, and our math options are to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So the numbers here were 8 and 10. Those were the ones that were originally given to us. So what math can we do? Well, we can do 10 minus 8, and that gives us 2, right? Now I want you to take a hot second here, and I wanted you to notice that here we had a plus 8, here we had a 10, and we started with that number we equaled to. All right, next one. X minus 7 is 3. So what number minus 7 is 3? A lot of people said 4, but 4 minus 7 would give you a negative 3, and that's not what we have here. The answer is 10. So what math can we do using this 3 and 7? Well, we can do 3 plus 7, and that can equal 10. And once again, we started with the number that we were already equal to, and we did the opposite of the number that we saw on the other side of the equation. So it said minus 7, we added 7. Next one, we have x over 3 equals 4. And what I want you to remember here is fractions mean division, right? So what number divided by 3 equals 4? Hopefully, we could all say 12. But now we need to figure out what math can we do with 4 and 3 so that we also can equal 12. Well, we can do 4 times 3. Okay, and I want you to notice here, we started with that 4, and then we were dividing by 3 in part A, but in part B, we multiplied by 3, so we did the opposite again. So here we have 5x equals 15. Now remember, 5x means the same as 5 times x. Okay, so what number times 5 would give us 15? Well, that would be 3. So what math can we do with 15 and 5 so that we can also equal 3? Well, we can do 15 divided by 5. And once more, we started with that 15 that our equation originally equaled, and then we did the opposite math. That was 5 times x. Well, we divided by 5. And we still got that 3. Because like I said, these are relatively simple. We're going to move on to where the math won't be as easy to do in your head, where you're going to have to take steps to figure out your work. All right. Next, we have negative 3 plus x equals 10. Okay, so, what can we do here? Well, we have 10, we have 3. And I know I'm going to start with my 10 because in all of my other problems, we started with the number we equaled to. It's going to equal something. Now, in this case, we have a negative 3. Right? And we were doing the opposites in every other problem. So what's the opposite of a negative 3? Well, it's a positive 3. And 10 plus 3 is 13. And 13 is the answer. And how do I know? Well, I can check. Negative 3 plus 13 equals 10. Well, I do the math there. I get 10 equals 10. And that's good. So for numbers 1 through 5, the math we chose to do in part B for each and how it relates to the equation we were given Okay, so we did the opposite math of the number with the variable. So every time a number was with the variable, we did the opposite, right? So here we had -3, we did the opposite, changed it to a +3. Here we have times 5, here we divided by 5. Divided by 3, times 3. -7, add 7, +8, -8. So we were always doing the opposite from A to B. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So now we're going to figure out what x value makes this equation 2. So we have 2x plus 1 equals 7. And hopefully, and if not, that's okay, but hopefully you thought about it for a second and it went, hey, that's going to be 3. Now a lot of people said 6, but they forgot that it's a 2x here. And in this one, we're going to have 2 steps we need to do until we can equal to that 3, using the numbers we originally given, 7, 1, and 2. And just like before, we always want to start with the number our equation originally equaled. Okay, so we've already used the 7, that was easy. So what math can we do with 1 and 2 so that eventually this all equals 3? Well, we can subtract 1, which gives us 6, and then we can take that 6 and divide it by 2, and that gives us the 3. So here, we did the opposite of adding 1, we subtracted 1, and we did the opposite of 2x, which was times 2, and we divided by 2. So let's look at the next one. 3x minus 2 equals 4. Take a moment, see if you can figure out what that number could be. The answer is 2. And again, this time we're going to have 2 steps until we can figure out how we equal 2, using those numbers 4, 3, and 2. And once again, we always want to start with the number we originally equaled. So we originally equaled 4. Okay, so now all we have left is 3 and 2. Now somebody in class said, hey, we can just subtract 2, and that equals 2. Yeah, you're right, but then what did we do with the 3? We have to do something with that 3, right? Because originally up here, we couldn't just do the math of the 1 to get us to 3. We had to use both numbers. So you can add 2, which gives you 6, and then using that 6, we can divide by 3. So just like before in the problem prior, we had a -2, we added 2. We had 3 times x, well, and then we divided by 3. So we're still doing those opposites. In this next one here, we have x over 2 minus 1 equals 9. So in this one, if you think about it, take a moment. It's kind of tricky, but we get a 20. Right? 20 divided by 2 is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. So we're going to have 2 steps, and we want to use those numbers 9, 1, and 2. So that eventually, after the second step, we get the number 9. The number 20. And just like before in all the other ones, we always want to start with the number we originally equaled, which was 9. So that number is already done. So what math can we do? Well, we can do 9 plus 1, and that gives us 10. And then we can take that 10 and multiply by 2 to give us 20. Now, once more, we were subtracting 1 originally. When we were figuring it out, we added 1. We were dividing by 2 originally. When we were figuring it out, we multiplied by 2. I want you to take a looky-loo here. All this stuff highlighted in green, right, in our first steps on the B side, so the first steps on the B side, we either added or subtracted. All the stuff highlighted in yellow, when we did the second step, we either multiplied or divide. Okay, so that's going to help us with 9 and 10. All right, so in number 9, we have negative 5x minus 4 equals negative 29. Oh boy, I know it off the top of my head because I did these problems about 6 billion times today. But you probably might not be able to figure out on top of your head. And that's okay. I chose this because I figured it would be difficult. So we're going to have 2 steps here. And we eventually need to equal something. That's important. And just like the other problems, let's start with what the number equals to. Or I'm sorry, what our equation equals to. What is that? Negative 29. So now we got to figure out what to do with the others. Well, in the green here, we originally subtracted 1 on the A side, but then we added 1 first. In 7, we originally subtracted 2, and we added 2 first. In 6A, we originally added 1, and in B, we subtracted that 1. So we originally are subtracting 4, so we're going to add a 4. And this gives us a negative 25. Okay. Now we are going to figure out our last little bit. So looking at A, we're dividing by 2. In the second step, we multiplied 2. In 7, we are multiplying by 3, and then we divided by 3. In number 6, we are multiplying by 2, and then we divided by 2. So in 9, if we're multiplying by negative 5, we must divide by negative 5. And that gives us an answer of 5. And 5 works, and you can check, right? If we replace x with 5, we get negative 5 times 5, which is negative 25. Negative 25 minus 4, which is here, this equals negative 29. So this would end up equaling or being equality-like. Right? Equal on both sides is going to be an equality, which is what we want. Last one, we're going to have 2 steps. We have negative 3 plus 2x equals 7. I don't know if you can figure this out off the top of your head, and if you can, that's super impressive, but let's do the work. So we're going to start with that 7 that our equation equals to, and then we're going to... So we're going to start off with the 7 our equation originally equals to. Here, we have plus a negative 3. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to subtract a negative 3. Well, we got to be careful, right? 2 negatives next to each other like that make a positive, so we get 10. So we're going to bring that 10 down. And then we want to use our multiplication or dividing. So if we're multiplying by 2 here, we will divide by 2 in our second step. And again, our answer is 5. And you can check your work by plugging it in. So if we take negative 3 plus 2x equals 7, replace x with 5. So we have 3 plus 2 times 5 equals 7. 2 times 5 is 10. Negative 3 plus 10 equals 7. This works out. 7 equals 7. We're golden. So this last little bit, our first step, we always added or subtracted the number with the variable. So we always subtract the number with the variable. But in number 2, this is the distinction. We multiplied or divided the number attached to the variable. Here, 2x is attached. Here, negative 5x is attached. Here, dividing by 2 is attached. Here, 3x, it's attached. Attached, okay? All right, that's the end of this video. Please make sure you show me your work or turn in a picture of your work, upload it to the Google Classroom. Have a good day, everyone.